5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's good, family, working class intellectuals podcast. We back on deck. Y'all know what it is. I am your host, Dr. Joseph Richardson, Uptown Philly, 215. Friends and family know me as JoJo, and I'm here with my co-host, my co-D.
Hey guys, it's a young revolutionist. My words of wisdom for today is, we waste time looking for the perfect lover instead of creating the perfect love. Shout out to my boy Chris, man.
Shout out to Chris St. Ville. We got some guests in the building. We got a co-host, Dr. Chris St. Ville. My man, 50 grand.
Yo.
What's good, baby?
We in here, baby. We in here.
We got Chris St. Ville on deck. Came straight from Buffalo, so we had to bring him here to be on our show today, man. We talk about you a lot. We glad you're at the table, taking a seat at the table.
Finally here today, man.
And thank you for having me, man. I'm glad to be here, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you. So, before I introduce the legendary gentleman at the table, you know, as always, I gotta have a story to tell to give a backdrop of how I got these brothers at the table. So, one of these gentlemen, I knew a brother who told me that I needed to go down to Southeast DC. He goes by the name of Berlin Dean. And I'm sure this brother knows him. He told me, there's a brother I think you need to meet. And he connected us, and we went down to his office down in Southeast DC. Me and Chris went, actually. So that's funny. We got a little reunion going on.
Yeah. That was like 3-4 years ago. Yeah.
It's a family reunion.
Yeah.
It's hot enough outside, ain't it?
That's what it is.
It's a family reunion.
Habit and time, brother.
Right.
So we go down to his office, meet him, love his energy, love his spirit. He was with his man Rico Rush. Another
Transformation.
genuine, authentic, real, inspiring brother.
Shout out to Rico.
Shout out to Rico.
No end. This.
Salute to him.
Yeah.
So we go down there and we build, and you had a young brother down there who we met, who you were mentoring.
Right.
We met him. So that's his story. And we've been talking ever since. And so this other brother, I'm saying the gentleman to your right.
No introduction.
Well, he don't really need an introduction. But I'm gonna tell you how I heard of him.
Ain't no end there.
First of all, I heard of him many times on the radio. He's legendary on the radio, WPFW. You know what I'm saying? Crossroads has a show about mass incarceration. Everyone in the DC metropolitan area and even farther beyond that knows about this man. And then I would always have people telling me, do you know this brother? Because you need to have him come to your class, because I teach the new Jim Crow. African Americans, mass incarceration in the prison industrial complex. So I always bring in some guests, and they were telling me I need to bring you in. I was like, I gotta get him to come in and be a guest lecturer.
Be glad to come, man.
I would appreciate that.
The warden said I could do it.
And we pay too.
The warden said you could do it.
And we right now. And we pay too.
Could have got me right now. Bring me with that.
So the warden said he gonna be able to come, and he also brought his lovely wife with him.
That's right.
So you know.
That's my right hand.
So without any further ado, at the table, taking a seat at the table with us tonight, is Mr. Tyrone Parker, one of the founders, CEOs, president of Alliance for Concerned Men, Southeast DC.
Hey!
Salute! And then beside him, his ace Coon, his comrade, is the legendary Roach Brown.
How you doing?
Merry
Hey, yo, we supposed to have the go-go music going on.
Yeah, we need to have
that go-go music.
right
Yeah.
We need to have some. Before we start the show, we always give a toast.
Yeah.
I usually make it, but since I have the legends in the building, I'm gonna let the legends make the toast.
Go ahead, you got it, Ty. You got it. Yeah.
Let's wish to the future, not to the past, for the beautiful things that we wish to last. In the spirit of transformation.
Hey.
Salute! Salute! So, Let's get to it, gentlemen.
That's right.
Let's get to the brass tacks.
Surgery time.
Let's get down to the raw.
That's right.
Last night, we had the privilege of you seeing your film that you two produced and co-produced with some other very legendary people in DC, which was directed by Safran Cassaday.
Mm-hmm.
And the film was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I got to use it in my class. I left there thinking this is definitely an educational tool, and I can't wait until the film goes public on July 25th. The film is called Returning Citizens, and it's based on the lives of people who are coming back from mass incarceration, who have been incarcerated for a number of years. Some have been incarcerated for a pretty long time, 30, 35 years, and others short periods of time.
One of the most important public health issues of
I
our
would say it
time.
was easily the best documentary I have seen in my lifetime, and I've seen plenty of documentaries on returning citizens, and the one I could really think of that kind of stuck out in my mind, but it was only about two people, was Omar and Pete, which was shot in Baltimore, and about two brothers that had basically spent 35 years to 40 years together in prison and followed their lives when they came out. But this was more comprehensive. This went over all the issues,
Yes,
every single issues. And I want to kind of, before we get into, you know, what made you decide to become a part of the film and why you decided to do it, I really want to get in first into your stories. Because during the panel session last night, we had the privilege and opportunity to hear you speak during the panel sessions and talk about your lives and why it was so important for you. But how did you even first come to this work? You know, what was it like growing up in DC? What were your lives like? And
How'd you get
was
the
it-
idea
how
for
was
this?
it- how- before we even get to the idea, what was it like? Well, we need the perspective because we know DC right now. A lot of people coming into DC see DC for what it is right now, but there was a totally another DC. And Roach, you said yesterday in the film, you were like, DC was once Chocolate City, now it's Chocolate.
Chocolate mocha.
Chocolate mocha. So what was it like for y'all brothers coming up in DC?
Well, I grew up back then. We both grew up in segregation. It was segregated in Washington during that time. And all the benefits that you look at TV right now and you see somebody and the cops stop somebody and they say that you have the right to remain silent and what you say can be used against you. Back in them days, that wasn't the law. They would come in, grab you, throw you down, bust you up, come in your house. There was no such thing as a search warrant. They would kick your door down and come in. There was only maybe like 2 black cops in our neighborhood. And they could not lock up a white defendant in the street.
Wow, that's
And
crazy.
and whenever they came to our neighborhood, we lived in an alley, and it was a strong alley community in Washington D.C. You see it right now. You go through all the streets in Southeast and Northeast, and you see these now they call courts. I grew up in a place called Temperance Court, across from the Chili Bowl, and behind that it was like 28 shacks, no running water, no electricity, no indoor plumbing, and we had to stand in line like we was in prison just to get buckets of water in the morning to wash up. Then we had to went around the corner to the Chili Bowl. It was called a Casbah then. We went over top the Chili Bowl to take baths because we didn't have an indoor plumbing, no toilet, or none of that kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
And it didn't make no difference. We was the happiest jokers in town. I mean, I thought everybody lived like it. It didn't make no difference to me. I wake up and I ain't got a dime. When I come home, I got me $25. And it was about not breaking the law. It was about, when I heard the word job, it meant the next question was, who's coming home? Because we didn't work. We couldn't get jobs. And if you did get a job, you had to shine somebody's shoes while they're rubbing your head and that kind of crap. We go out and do whatever we got to do. And we didn't look at each other as criminals. There wasn't it was about surviving. And we survived. You had to be creative. You had to be innovative. And we came up with more ways to make a living, to stay alive. And we wouldn't take a job. I didn't want to shine nobody's shoes while they scratching my head, man, and call me boy. When I go to the golf course and carry a case of golf clubs that weigh more than me, 4 or 5 miles, and I get a butt. I can go out and send me some dope and rob somebody and got me $5,000. And that economic, that didn't make sense, man. And we knew that was that. All the people that said the laws was this and that, they came in our neighborhoods in the evening. The same people you see on TV and on news, this is the right wing and we believe this and you believe that. And you see them in our neighborhoods trying to grab little boys and little girls to go have sex with. And they talk all this joogie boogie about doing the right thing. And we see everybody saying doing the right thing, All my buddies who went to college, got degrees, master's degrees and doctor's degrees, they came back and got jobs as Pullman porters, as janitors. So it didn't make no sense about going to school. All the people I know who didn't go to school had Cadillacs, had money, and we had our own economy. And we created a way to make a living. And that's how I grew up, man. And to me, these guys ain't criminals. There's two types of crimes. Crimes of need and crimes of greed.
Can you explain? Can you explain the two for me?
Yeah, crime of need is somebody that need to do something, to get something to eat, to get some food on the table. Crime of greed is those folks, like you said at the show last night. You look on TV, somebody stole $600 million, and they get a $100,000 fine. A brother robbed 7-Eleven and get life. No parole, and he didn't take $25. You know what I mean? So it's crime of greed, but we also saw, besides that crime of greed, there's a lot of larceny, there's the discrimination, there's the segregation, there's the racism, all that's built into it.
Structural violence.
Hey man, when I went to prison, segregation right now is more prevalent in prison than it was back in the 30s and the 40s. They won't put a black inmate and a white inmate together in the same cell. It's segregated in prisons. Wow. In order right now, in order for a white inmate and a black inmate to live together in the same cell, they got to sign a release saying that